get materials readily to an island country, they also don't have a lot of places to dispose of it. So looking abroad at other opportunities of how other countries handle waste in a smart way is going to be a really good starting point for us to emanate that culture. Next slide, please. It's not just source separating at the bins, right? It's also source separating at the point of work. So think about this activity, putting up drywall. There's two material streams that come out of this. There's studs and there's drywall. Now, if the worker's putting both of those materials into a single bin, when they get to the source separated area, guess what they're gonna have to do? They're gonna have to pick it apart and throw it in two different bins if you want it to get source separated. Versus if you just have two bins at the point of work, all they gotta do is tip that bin into that specific bin, and there's no additional double handling that needs to take place. So getting really specific about source separating at the place of work is gonna be really important to this journey as well. Another thing that we forget to do sometimes, set up a municipal solid waste stream. Again, if you throw MSW in a C&D bin, that counts as contamination, right? So what do we have to do as contractors? Well, we have to set up an MSW stream. It costs about $400 a month in some places, sometimes less, sometimes more. Sometimes the owner will let us use their own MSW stream. But if you just throw those Chipotle burritos in the C&D bin, you're at risk of sending that whole C&D bin to landfill. So it's really important that we set up a bin at the onset. Next slide, please. I'm actually going to skip ahead too. And when you do set up that bin, think about human behavior, right? These are two job sites in the Bay Area that, same culture, right? Bay Area culture, but dramatically different results. So what's different? Well, the job site on the left, you have two bins. One's, I don't know if there's a laser pointer on this, right? There's a lid on it, too annoying to pick up, so the guy just puts the monster can on top. There's a bin over here with no lid, so that's easy to throw stuff into. There's another monster can, he's busy. And if you open up the blue bin, there's a ton of contamination. There's no signage, right? How are they supposed to know what goes in there? I'm gonna go for the easier one over here personally. I don't wanna walk all the way over here. Versus on the right-hand side here, two bins right next to each other. Zero contamination in the right-hand bin. What's the difference, right? Signage in two languages. There's a lot of Spanish speakers on our job sites, right? Photos, if you don't speak English or Spanish, I don't know. There's lids on both, so they're both equally inconvenient, right? So you have to make a choice and you have to touch a dirty bin either way. So let's go and and actually I kind of like having a lid on the top because guess what? You can actually put a sign on the top and that way people can see it. So this is really a human behavior change. Another thing that we need to be mindful of as contractors is to check our actuals. So this is a job where we were seeing really high diversion rates. And they would be reporting on Turner Tracker at 71%, and we said, that's great, wonderful. But when you actually dig into what the audited rate was, it was more like 7%, right? And we wouldn't have realized that unless we dug onto the website. So when you live in a world where ADC is considered part of the diversion stream, it can be really challenging to catch what's actually diverted and what's not. This is a lead job, so actually we have to be going with a 7%, right? So this was a big shock for us, and it really kind of drove home the fact that we need to source separate as much as possible. I have a lot more slides. We can talk about it kind of after the presentation, but I just kind of want to leave you with this message. Now, I don't know how many of us are actually in the C&D industry. My understanding is not too many of us in this room. If it applies to you, fantastic. Let's chat about it and apply as much as you can. But even if you're not in the C&D industry and you touch this stuff and you don't touch this stuff every day, think about the human behavior that we need to accommodate in order to achieve higher diversion rates. A lot of this is not technical issues that we need to solve, but really human behavior related ones. And if we can hack the environments that people are working in, we're gonna enable ourselves to achieve much higher diversion rates. So 3, 2, 1, that's all the time I have. But if there are any questions, I would love to take them now or after the show. Do we have time for questions? 5 minutes? Any questions? That's early. Yeah. Yeah, so the question was, are there any similar general contractor companies doing work like this? Absolutely. There's a lot of really great contractor companies out there. I call them my friendly competitors. There is a coalition, if you have questions on waste in the Bay Area, called the Bay Area Sustainable Construction Leaders Group, BASL. The website, if you'd like to visit, is bayareascl.org. It's a group of about 10 of us. We all have full-time sustainability people, and we're all really passionate about this, and we're all focused on shifting the industry towards more sustainable general construction practices. So if you have questions, you can always reach out to us, but my email was up there on the screen for a little bit, so you can also reach out to me. I think we got time for one more. All right, covered it all. Fantastic. All right, great. See you afterwards. Thanks.